What up, gang? Jake Chapman, Chrissy Birdsall here with you. It is Magic Game Day, and we are back. We're back on the radio perch. We're back at Kia Center, and the Magic back in the dub column on Wednesday with a win over the Miami Heat. If we could play the Miami Heat 82 times, I think we would go 82-0 based on the numbers. That's crunching numbers there for you. That's what the people come for. Trying to build on what we saw on Wednesday night. That was Magic basketball. I liked what I saw defensively for 3 quarters. I liked what I saw certainly on the scoreboard at the end of the night. Magic moved the ball to the tune of 36 assists. And like I said, anytime you can get a dub, great. Anytime you can get a dub against the Miami Heat, makes you feel even better about it. And now all of a sudden, another team that you are dealing with as far as the Eastern Conference standings, a team that you owe something to. The last time we saw the Raptors was right before New Year's. That was in Canada, and the Magic blew a 21-point lead in that game. It was a squeaker, a 1-point Toronto win. Jamal Shed was the hero that night, but they got some good performances in that game. We'll go over those. Colin Murray-Boyles, the rookie, was really good. Got beat up on the glass. Did the Magic that night. But it's a solid Toronto team. They can attack you a lot of different ways. They are a tough team. So it should be a good one here tonight as we get set. It'll be a 7:30 tip. Had to push it back, and I feel like every time I come on one of these streams and we have a game that doesn't begin at 7 o'clock, I mention how much it screws me up. You would think just pushing your schedule back 30 minutes would be very simple, but between you and I, we've been all over the place today.
See, I like the extra half hour. It gives me, I don't know, like, I feel like I get an extra half hour to be prered for this show. I had an extra half hour.
You're always overwhelmed at
4:30
just about every afternoon. You're like, what are we going to talk about? And
at 4:30 today, the first thing I turned to you, I said, what do you want to talk about? But we had an hour to prepare.
So we got 30 minutes to worry about it. We don't even need to start until 5 o'clock. No, but okay. So it just sort of screws my internal clock up. But hopefully that extra half hour serves the Magic well, as it's that time of year where I think everybody. Everybody's brain's going a little haywire right now. It can be difficult, I think, to muster the mental acuity to do a good stream on YouTube, and it can be certainly difficult to go through 48 minutes of an NBA game. Everybody's fighting it right now, and that is why I think the first thing tonight, we're going to talk about the Miami game a little bit, and we'll go back and recap the loss to Toronto in Toronto on December 29th. But the first thing I think that you kind of lock in on against this Toronto team is exactly what Jamal Mosley said this morning, which is this is a team that you must outwork. And Toronto, they're going to be physical. They're going to try to turn you over. They don't play with a breakneck pace, but they scored 30 fast break points against us back on December 29th. They were pulling the ball out of the basket on makes and going. They were forcing misses and going. The Magic shot 40% from the field that night. This, I hesitate to say it's going to be a playoff-type atmosphere in here tonight because you just never quite know. If you go up 20 or down 20, then it's not sort of that, that nail-biting type atmosphere. But it feels like we're getting the point of the year where every game has a little bit more added meaning to it. And against a team like Toronto, I could see this being a playoff-type basketball game here tonight, and then the atmosphere will likely follow.
Yeah, I think the competition stiffens up a little bit as you're heading into the All-Star break. Everyone's trying to make that push heading into the break, get themselves in a good position to set themselves up for after the break. And these are two teams that have been pretty close in the standings for the most part of the season. The Magic have dropped over those last 4 losses, before they were able to get back in the win column against Miami. But you mentioned it, when these two teams played each other, Orlando was up 20 points. And this Raptors team did not quit, especially in that fourth quarter. Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, they were pouring it on, and defensively, they were getting the stops they needed to come away with the win, and that was really the big thing. I think in that fourth quarter, they outshot them 23-12, and it felt like the tide flipped. You felt it in the crowd. I remember at the end of the third, I remember hearing it on the Magic Audio Network. You could just hear the vibe switch a little bit at that end of the third, start of the fourth, and the Raptors were able to carry that momentum. You ought to hope that today, being at the Kia Center, maybe getting a little bit of that extra juice from the home crowd, that it flips the other way, allowing the Magic to get their second straight win. That elusive second straight win that's been something, it's been about 1-1 for a while, and then they had that losing streak and now able to get that win back. But you mentioned it at the top of the broadcast of just building that consistency. You come into tonight, you at least know what you're going to expect. Franz Wagner has been out now for a handful of games. You've had Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagner back for a handful of games. So you're not getting getting into that clunkiness that Coach Mosley had talked about when those guys were coming back and there was not as much consistency in the rotation. You didn't know who was going to be in and out every night. So you know what to expect, and we saw that against Miami the other night of just this team getting over that clunkiness and really starting to find a rhythm on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it feels like right now you have, at the very least, the ability to be stable, the ability to be consistent. And I'm not even sure that was the case. When you look down the injury report, and it's different every day, and then you've got guys going on the injury report, and then, okay, we got to wait until they go through their shooting slots to see if they're available. And again, like every team deals with this over the course of the season, especially when you get to this part of the season where you got the All-Star break right there, but everybody across the league is banged up, and everybody's just sort of trying to gut it through the next 2 weeks, throwing the trade deadline on top, and everybody's got a lot going on. But I came away from Wednesday's game going, okay, that was Magic basketball. Now can we replicate it? And it feels like we probably actually can at this point. No, you don't have Franz Wagner tonight. We know we don't have Franz Wagner tonight. We will have Jalen Suggs tonight. We will have Mo Wagner tonight. You've got everybody else available. And I think just the fact that, okay, we're not waiting till 10 minutes before tip-off to figure out if we have our starting three. Like, I think that weighs in as well. And then I think you saw exactly what needs to happen on Wednesday night. Now it's just a matter of replicating it. You played with a purpose on either end of the floor. You did what we always talk about, turning defense into offense, helping your offense out a little bit by turning Miami over and getting out and going. And right now you have a baseline foundation that is Paolo Banchero playing about as well as anybody across the league night in and night out. So finally, I think you have the ability to find some stability. What was it Coach Mosley said today? It was almost like Yogi Berra. He said it's hard to be consistent when you're changing things, and that is I kind of had that. What's the emoji with the head exploding thing when I thought about that? It sort of blew my brain up. I was like, yes, it is very hard to be consistent when you're changing things. And the Magic have had to change things for about 2 months running. So, and you bring up that clunkiness. When Franz comes back, yeah, we'll be at full strength, but it'll probably be kind of clunky for a couple games. That's what happens when you bring guys in and out of the rotation. But it feels like we're finally getting to that point that we were hoping to get to, where you don't have to worry about that part of it. You can just worry about going out, playing the way you're supposed to play, and trying to build towards something. Now, with that said, we had some comments coming in about rotations, and I do think it's important to remember that Coach Mosley, because of all the instability that we've seen, hasn't settled on anything just yet. You saw in the Cavaliers game, the first half of the Cavs game in Cleveland on Monday, you didn't see Jonathan Isaac, you didn't see Tristan da Silva at all. J.I. hadn't played meaningful minutes for a handful of games up to that point. Both those guys played huge roles in the win on Wednesday. Both those guys came in and played in the fourth quarter of the blowout loss in Cleveland on Monday and played well. There's another question just a moment ago about Goga being out of the rotation. That was from C-Rob8165. I don't think Goga is necessarily completely out of the rotation. Mo Wagner is in the rotation, and so that's part of the reason. You only have so minutes to go around, and we know Wendell is going to get his, and then if you throw Jonathan Isaac in there, there's just not enough minutes for all those bigs. But Goga would be smart to stay ready and pay attention to what happened with Jonathan Isaac, with Tristan da Silva, and keep an eye on Mo as well. Yes, Mo's back in the rotation, but he only played 4 minutes on Wednesday in Miami, and that's a matchup-based thing. And so night in and night out, Jamal's going to go with who he feels like gives him the best chance. That's what the game plan is going to dictate. And then as the game goes, he is a dance with who brung you type of guy. And so whoever's got the hot hand will be on the floor. And that goes on down the line. You might see Jamal Cain, Jace Richardson. You might see Jett Howard, whoever. I think Coach Mosley feels very comfortable with the majority of his roster, which is a good place to be. But I don't know for sure if we'll see Goga Batadze tonight, but I have a pretty good feeling if we don't see him tonight, it won't be long before we see him. Really, you're talking about 13, 14 guys on roster that Jamal Mosley feels comfortable playing, and that's a luxury to be sure.
Yeah, and I know it's a little weird to be talking about rotations in January because a lot of teams feel like, okay, they're set on their rotations, but that's a problem when you have a very deep team. And then with all the injuries coming on, that there's all of these different guys that have to step up. And you mentioned it, Mosley's going to play the hot hand, and the hot hand was Jonathan Isaac. Tristan da Silva had himself a good game. Even Tyus Jones. You know, these are guys that maybe weren't putting up the points necessarily, but they were bringing it on the defensive end. Jonathan Isaac especially had 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And there was a sequence, I want to say it was in the first or the second quarter in that first half, where he had a block and a run out in a basket, and then he had a steal and a run out in a basket. And that was just like a very good culmination of, okay, he's going to be the guy that's going to bring it tonight. Even if he's not getting his points, I think he only had 4 points in that game, he's going to make his impact on defense, which is what we've seen from him throughout the season. But that's a big thing about this team, is that it's got to be somebody who has to step up every night. And it doesn't have to be the same guy, but you got to find who's going to be the guy that's going to bring you, whether that's somebody who can score, like De Silva had himself 12 points, getting himself back and comfortable in the rotation, or you get somebody on the defense to bring you that energy.
Yeah, and Coach Mosley said very specifically this morning, Chrissy, it's a great point about J.I., that was what he liked most about what Jonathan Isaac did on Wednesday. He wasn't concerned at all about scoring the basketball. And J.I., it's not like he's going out there as an offensive-minded, get me the basketball, right. I'm trying to get my shots up. But holistically, like across the board, the Magic have far too often, in my opinion, the last few weeks, let their offense impact their defense, and it needs to be the opposite. When Jonathan Isaac steps on the floor, he can make us a better offensive team, not by shooting the basketball, not by doing anything, doing exactly what you just said, forcing turnovers or block shots or misses on one end and letting the Magic get back to that quote-unquote sprint game, as Jamal Mosley refers to it, because that, to me, was one of the biggest keys on Wednesday night. He scored 133 points, but you're never going to score 133 points by just dribbling down, pulling up, and shooting a three off the bounce and making 20 of those. That's not who we are. You scored 133 points because you were able to turn the Miami Heat over to the tune of, 18 turnovers for, I believe it was 24 Magic points. You got out in the break, 18 points on the fast break. We need to get going against not set defenses, and the best way to do that, force misses and turnovers and get out and go, because we do have guys, whether it's Anthony Black, Paolo Banchero, you think about Tristan and some of our shooters in transition, Dez, Jalen. We do have guys who can punish you in transition. That is one of the strengths of our team offensively, is attacking the basket and fanning out and getting open looks in the transition game. So that's a huge key, both, just moving forward and holistically about this team. It'll be a big one tonight against this Toronto team. Last time we saw these guys, there were no turnovers. I think there were 14 combined turnovers, 6 for us and 8 for them.
Yeah.
But it is sort of part of their attack. They are 10th in the league in turnover percentage, and then fast break points, first in the league, 19.2. And it doesn't necessarily come from forcing turnovers. They do it off misses. They do it off makes. But they are trying to go. So the transition game tonight is going to be a huge key. And then whether or not you're able to get some easy looks in transition by forcing turnovers, I think it's going to be something you got to stay locked in on. Whoever wins the turnover battle tonight, I have a feeling, or maybe the possession battle is a better way to put it, is going to be in a good position to take this game.
Yeah, I think when you look at this matchup between these two teams, there are a lot of similarities because they're both very defensive-minded coming into this game. And that was something that the Magic did well on Wednesday against Miami. We talked about it throughout the last week of the process of this team and getting back to that Magic standard. And then the Magic standard is getting stops, going out and running, and then getting those baskets. And you saw that on full display on Wednesday. And now you face this Toronto team who Mosley said there are some similarities, at least on how those two teams play defensively. Miami's just a much quicker team on the offensive end. But defensively, it was a good test for them, for the Magic coming into tonight, and how they're going to be able to try and get those stops and then get out and get baskets on their own.
One other thing that Jamal said is this is a Toronto team that you have to outwork, and the Magic frankly got outworked in Toronto on December 29th. The rebounds, to me, were the big key in that game. It was a 58-52 edge for the Raptors, but they had 21 offensive rebounds that night, 7 of them from the rookie Colin Murray-Boyles, and they had 18 second-chance points off of that, and those are just gifts. The Magic have been a good rebounding team all season long. When you defend for 24 seconds and then allow an offensive rebound and a second chance and have to defend for another 14, that takes us out of our game, I think, more so than many teams across the league, because we are so dependent on our defense. And so cleaning up the glass and, as Coach Mosley says, finishing off possessions tonight, that is going to be a massive key, whether it's Murray-Boyles or whoever else. You cannot let this team victimize you like they did last time as far as the offensive rebounding goes. And I think I recall, I think Desmond Bain said something to the same effect this morning as well. Just as far as Toronto, this is one of those teams. This is why I say it might feel like a playoff-type atmosphere tonight. This is one of those teams that, it feels like we may see them in the playoffs, but I think it's a good test as you come off a win, you're starting to feel good about yourselves. These guys, they're not going to beat themselves. They will make you outwork them, and they will make you, sort of go toe-to-toe physically with them, which I kind of like. I kind of like sort of stepping up a little bit after the win against Miami. I think Dad said something sort of similar to that.
Yeah, he said coming into this match, he expects it to be a dogfight.
Ooh.
So that's a good indication.
Sorry.
That was pretty good.
That
was like a Georgia Bulldog.
That was the
there.
Browns fan in me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true right there. But it is. But I mean, when you have a player saying that, you got to have some expectation that this is going to be a really competitive battle, and it was very competitive the last time these two teams played together. Even with the Magic being up 20 points, the Raptors never really felt out of that game. It was just a matter of when they were going to turn on and flip that script. But you talked about it. Desmond Bane said that they have to just play harder. They have to have more effort plays, more hustle plays. And he said whichever team's going to play harder is the one that's going to win the game, which sounds like maybe a little bit of a, very simple way. But when you think about those effort plays, just how much of a difference it makes, especially for the Magic when they were on their slump a little bit. That was the big thing, was the rebounding, the defense were the two things that you heard Anthony Black, Desmond Bane, a couple other players say that they needed to get those effort plays together. And that's something that this team coming in, Toronto does a very good job with those. So it's going to be interesting to see. And Bane said they have to get the mentality right from the start of those games. We've talked about it over the last week of getting out to a better start for this team. And it felt like they did that against Miami. They got to continue that again.
It's a Toronto team that if it's going to be a dogfight, they do have some dogs. Jamal Shed is one of them. And
Coach, we talked a little bit about it during shoot-around, but when you're playing one of these high deflection teams that like to get in the passing lanes to generate their offense, what are some of the keys for your group to making sure you take care of the basketball?
I think our spacing is a key. Understanding where the passing angles are with this group. We got to give each other room to operate. These guys do an incredible job of getting their hands on the basketball. So just timing is a big portion of that, and just knowing our execution on our sets. And then the last piece is quick decisions. You can't hold out with this group because they're sending traps, they're sending double teams. So you got to be smart with where you are on the floor.
Similar to that, Miami got within 6 points with a minute left the other night. As you guys try and find some consistency, how important is that late game situation, and what do you guys want? What do you want to see from the guys in that scenario?
I think it comes down to the execution, reading the game as it goes on. Obviously teams that are making runs and coming back, they don't do anything traditional. They're trapping and they're pressing, they're speeding you up, trying to get downhill. For us, it was more the defensive end. They got back in the game because they decided to, turn up the heat, but also we didn't get back the way we needed to. They got a lot of easy baskets in transition, and that's what was the problem there. So we got to do a better job of being able to defend, for the full 48.
Kind of on building off of that a little bit, it felt like you've talked about pace and needing to play faster, but how do you kind of again balance that with being against a team that is trying to maybe speed you up, trying to force you into some tough decisions against pressure defense, and was it an emphasis on Wednesday to try and get up the floor quicker and get out quicker?
Yeah, I think throughout each quarter, the game is going to continue to tell you what you need to do. I think in that fourth quarter, you want to stay aggressive, but you want to be smart with that aggression, knowing you still want to attack, get downhill, find your open shots. You don't want that team to rush you into the bad shots, which is when teams come back, that's what they try to do. So you just got to be smart, know the sets, your execution, and to Dan's point, the proper spacing, the proper angles, on time, on target passes, so guys can step into their shots with confidence.
Toronto's fourth in the East. You mentioned the deflections to Dan. What else stands out when you watch them on film?
I think they just crash the glass extremely hard. They make sure they're getting extra offensive rebounds. They push the ball every single time, make or miss, so you got to make sure you get back. They seem like they're just extremely aggressive for 48. It mixes their defense's coverages up, whether they're playing zone, man, full court press, just changing the game up and keeping you on your toes. He's done a great job with that group.
I heard you talking the other day about the competitiveness of yourself and some of the guys in this group. And I'm just wondering, more big picture, what you've learned about having a bunch of guys that are competitive, and then on top of that, you put the expectations, and maybe coming with that is some impatience, and how you try and manage that across the course of a full season?
That's a really good question. What I say about our guys is that competitiveness does, they want more, and that's rightfully so. And then you have to just do it game by game, practice to practice, focusing on your process of how we're getting better every single game. You can't play in June, you're playing, you play hard throughout that regular season to get to June. You can't get there before that. And so I think our guys continue to understand that. And then that's just a daily process of our habits getting better.
Do you need to, when you have had the ups and downs you guys kind of have, just in terms of wins and losses, is it something that you feel like you've needed to remind the group more than perhaps in the past when everything's thrown in like that?
Not necessarily. We just get back to the habits. I think that's what happens in the NBA season because, less practice time, you're traveling, you're doing a lot, the habits fall off sometimes. And I think that's what this group has been reminded, that we got to get back to the habits of the things that got us to the point we need to be.
Seems like the Raptors have kind of been a thorn in y'all's side. Last season had the 2 close games here, and then in Toronto had the big lead and wasn't able to finish it off. Does that add a chip on their shoulder for tonight's game? And how does the team feel about attacking this game differently?
I think what we've done in the past games is we've been close with them, and so knowing that it's not going to be an easy game, and so our guys know how they need to come out and fight, how we have to execute, take care of the basketball, defensively, sit down and guard, not give up easy baskets, and then finish possession. So those little things all matter in a game that have been close with this group.
Scotty's just been on a new defensive level this year. How do you combat that defensive mindset in the where he's pretty much everywhere. He can guard in the perimeter and inside.
Yeah, you look at the games. I mean, he picked up Jalen Brunson, full court. He's guarding multiple positions. He wreaks havoc, and I think just being able to move him around in different spaces and places. Our screening has got to be important. Just can't get stagnant with him because he does a great job on the ball and off ball.
How are you today, Coach?
Ed, how you doing?
Doing all right. You've mentioned some of the defense already with Scotty Barnes and CMB, them also getting downhill offensively. Points off turnovers, a key for both teams, a strength for the offense, a strength for the defense stopping it. How do you win that margin tonight? And is that, one of the biggest keys for your team tonight?
Yeah, taking care of the basketball and then getting back in transition. You've got to do that for this team because once you turn it over, they're off to the races. And so same with us. When we turn teams over, we're trying to get out and get early, easy baskets. So going back to Dan's point is just being able to take care of the basketball. And then for us, we've got to make sure we're sprinting back in transition and, loading up the paint first and then getting out to shooters and knowing who we're closing out to.
And how do you and the team handle and deal with outside noise, the ups and downs of the season? It's a long season, and just generally keeping that message fresh 5 years in with roughly the same unit.
Yeah, I think what it is you allow other coaches to communicate the same message to the group, different voices at different times, but you stick to the process of your daily habits. I think the practice times, the film sessions, those are so important in an 82-game season. And I think our guys, have done a great job this year of bouncing and not hearing a lot of the noise because we have an expectation on ourselves, and that's what these guys understand and know. And so what we're trying to do in our building, matters to most of these guys, and that's what's important.
Thanks, Coach Mose.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right, there we go. Can't press the button. That was Jamal Mosley, a very in-depth, extensive, expansive Jamal Mosley, I feel like. Some good questions from the assembled media. Maybe that's what happens when we get that extra half hour. It gives everybody
a little more time to prepare.
Prepare, ask some good cues, some good stuff, and let's crack back open Chrissy's quote book. What were some of your takeaways from what Jamal just said?
I think I was going through some of the comments as well, and there was actually a comment from Toots Magoots on TikTok.
From who?
Toots Magoots.
Okay.
That's a top name right there.
I like that.
And he said earlier in there, he or she said, a calculated aggression, play hard, limit turnovers, and stay out of foul trouble. And I feel like when I was listening to Coach Mosley talk, I got a lot of those same points there when you're looking at the keys to the game for this team. Just talking about Toronto, I mean, we mentioned it, that this is a very strong defensive team, and they're really good at getting out in transition. And those were the things that Mosley was emphasizing over and over and over again, is limiting turnovers and then getting back on transition defense and trying to limit those fast break points.
Yeah, the fast break points, a big key. And then I thought he said kind of specifically, and first of all, when you're talking about a team that pushes, especially a team that pushes like they do, which is off make, off miss, they don't just wait until they turn you over. They're going. Communication is so important in transition defense, and that is something that can come and go, but hopefully it's something that's locked in here tonight at home. So first and foremost, make sure you are stopping ball. Make sure you're communicating with your teammates as you get back in transition. Physicality is a big key against this team, period. But then he mentioned loading up the paint first in transition and then fanning out to three-point shooters. That's one thing that when you talk about what these two teams have kind of in common, neither team exactly lighting it up from three-point range so far this season. They are built kind of similarly to us, where they've got two wings who are going to have the ball on either side of the floor, but whose game isn't necessarily specializing in shooting threes. Ingram's a better perimeter shooter, I think, than our guys. But with that said, Ingram can operate from basically three different levels, but he's kind of a midi-type guy. Barnes is a big body who does a little bit of everything. I like those questions about his defense because it has taken a step to another level this year. He comes into Scotty Barnes 1.4 blocks and 1.29 steals per game. Those are Defensive Player of the Year type numbers. But this is a Toronto team that they may make some threes tonight, but they're not going to kill you from three-point range. And so you have to defend them inside out first. The paint point battle, I think, is going to be a big one to keep an eye on tonight. Both top 10. We're 6th, they're 8th. And so I think probably whoever wins that battle. But this is going to be about trying to get close to the bucket tonight for either side. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to do it in transition. But making sure that, sort of know your personnel, making sure you're not flying willy-nilly out and running guys off the three-point line. Big key tonight. You got to stay close to the bucket tonight against this team.
Yeah, you got to know where home is. And one last thing on the three-point percentage, looking at the team standings, 27th and 28th in the league in three-point percentage, just about 33-34% for both of these teams. So, yeah, don't expect a 130 to 120 match tonight, I don't think, between these two teams. But you talked about crashing the glass. That's something we've talked about. And I saw a comment from Jay Curve here saying rebounds were great for Paolo as well. I feel like rebounding Paolo because he sees the floor well. And there was something that he had said after the game is that rebounding is actually something that he's been working on over the last couple of years, crashing the glass on top of his leadership. And he felt like in that first half, he said he wasn't playing as good as he was, so he went back, focused on his defense, and you saw him get his numbers on that end, of at least on the glass. He had 12 rebounds and 31 points when he started picking up his scoring. And that's just something to look out for as well, because we talk about how important the bigs are in crashing the glass, but somebody like Paolo can step in and get those rebounds as well, and that's just going to help this team even more.
It gives you a whole lot of flexibility when you have guys at the 3 and 4 who can help rebound. Whether it means you can move Wendell Carter Jr. around, or maybe you could even go with small lineups at times, where Paolo represents the 5. He's coming off, Paolo Banchero coming off the best rebounding month of his career. 9.2 rebounds here in the month of January is the best month in Paolo's still young, but now 4-year career, and 25 points, 9 rebounds in the month of January. 2 players across the NBA have those averages.
Right.
One guy is trying to force his way out of Milwaukee, and the other guy is ours here in Central Florida. And so anytime you're being mentioned with Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're doing something right. And it doesn't seem like that long ago we were talking about what's wrong with Paolo Banchero, and you and I were sitting there going, talk to me in a couple weeks.
Yep.
And it's a couple weeks. I think he's fine, everybody. The numbers just leaping off the page. 31 and 12 the other night. As you said, he was a plus 27 in that game, Paolo Banchero. He's bringing it night in and night out, and shame on anybody for doubting that eventually was going to happen.
Yeah, Wednesday's game was a great day for the Killer Bees. I mean, you talked about Paolo Banchero, he was plus 27. Anthony Black had 26, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. He was plus 19, had himself a really solid game, and even Desmond Bane got himself up to 23 points, and he was shooting over 60% from the floor, had a couple of assists as well. And I want to touch on them because that was something we had touched on about a month ago with Franz Wagner out. Who needs to step up? We saw Anthony Black continuing to emerge and what that looks like for him. But you got to give flowers to Paolo and Bane as well. The Killer Bees, they were called in the month of December, and it feels like they're starting to come back a little bit in January. You mentioned Paolo's numbers, 25 and 9, but Bane's putting up 18 points per game, Black almost 17 points per game. Between those 3, if you can get one of them going, it opens up the floor for the other 2 as well.
Yeah, heck of a month for Anthony Black. 38% in January, 3-point shooting, 47% from the field. Like, we're greedy now. We expect it night in and night out, and there's going to be a few off nights. Obviously, the kid just turned 22 years old, but he has gotten to a point where night in and night out, he's bringing that. He's scoring 20 points night in and night out, and obviously, and by the way, in transition, he's 16th in the league in points in transition, total points, for the season. So he has been one of your secret weapons when you are able to get out and get to that sprint game, as we keep talking about. So, okay, Killer Bees includes Bane, Black, and Bancaro.
Yes.
If Bataze is on the floor, then I got 4 of 5. With the trade deadline coming up, should we trade for somebody with a fifth B? I just kind of like the idea of Bane, Bancaro, Black, Bataze, and Birdsall on the floor.
If you get Franz back, you got Franz Boogie.
And Boogie. Good call. Good
See?
call.
I think that actually was a comment a month ago. Somebody said when Franz comes back that you have to put Franz Boogie in there as the 4th or 5th Killer Bee.
You could have claimed it. And you know what? I want to say...
No, I'm going to give credit to where credit's due.
Because I do call him Boogie. It's always Franz boogieing into the lane.
Yeah.
I like that. That's 5 Bs.
5 Bs.
That's what I'm looking for. And what I'm going to need is for you to, like, wave at me when that finally happens. When we get the 5 Bs on the floor... I'm gonna need that because that works too. You got 2 guards, you got a 3, a 4, and a 5.
There you go.
With Goga in there, we got to make sure Goga stays with it here because it can be frustrating, I think, as you see your minutes kind of dissipate. But as Coach Mosley has told Noah Penda and Jace Richardson, and has told everybody on down the line, Jamal Kane and Orlando Robinson, if you're Goga, you got to stay ready because you are one rolled ankle away from playing heavy minutes, as Goga has seen so far in his tenure here in Central Florida. So hopefully the Magic able to build upon what we saw on Wednesday. Feels like a good test, feels like a good opponent, feels kind of like a playoff game or a playoff type atmosphere we might see as the Toronto Raptors come to town. Magic hoping to strike a little revenge for that loss in Canada that was back on December 29th. She's Chrissy. I'm Jake. I'll have the radio call for you coming up at 7:30. Pregame begins at 7 o'clock. 96.9 The Game, our flagship station here in Central Florida. You can always stream us if you're in the listening area on the iHeart app or on the Orlando Magic app, anywhere in the world on NBA League Pass audio or on Sirius XM. We will talk to you guys after that 2-game road trip. I don't know who will be playing. I think it's on February 5th. We'll be back here for one of those city nights next week. Brooklyn, is that who it is? Who do we got?
Nets, yeah.
The Brooklyn Nets will be our next home stream, and Chrissy will holler at you when we're out on the road in San Antonio and Oklahoma City as well. Have a great night. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go Magic. We'll talk to you later.
Colombia, Afro-Caribbean honeydew. Whipping out apes, no condiments. From Barranquilla, no argument. She going hard like a gallo. Don't care what they say, hella fight, no. I'm chilling with babe with my eyes closed. Got the champagne with my blindfolds. I'm on your flight in Miami, chopping and dripping with Moochie the family. Drop top when I drop down, acting hella savage like I'm Randy. I'm on 1,000, living my life like I don't get no hoots about plan B's. My life something like a Tahoe, yours something like a Camry, yeah.
Give the people what they want, cause never seen my type before. Love to see me coming, but my haters might just shed a tear. Cause when I put that hammer down, I bet you this whole room clear. Ain't no competition, it's against just me,
guys? Welcome to Courtside Countdown, presented by Hard Rock Bet. I'm your host, Kendra Douglas, and thank you guys so much for joining me. We are back home for one before we get on the road as the Magic look to take on the Toronto Raptors tonight. A later game, so the game's going to be at 7:30 tonight, and you can catch Magic Live, the pregame show, at 7 with Dante and the crew, and they'll get you ready. But first, we're going to get you ready here. Make sure you keep up with the comments. Tell us what you love, what you've seen. What did you like about Miami? I mean, first off, Magic fans, the Magic have now beaten the Miami Heat 4 times this season. They have one more time to play them in Miami in March. But right now, we're going to enjoy that win in Miami. And for the Magic, this was a big game, especially for them to look to snap a 4-game losing skid. That's what was so important about this game in Miami. Desmond Bane also having a good night in that one too. But Paolo Banchero and what he was able to do for the Orlando Magic, 9 points going into the half. Coming out of the half, he had 22. Was able to connect with guys like Anthony Black, who also had such a stellar night as well. This Magic squad, they, went into the half kind of realizing that they needed to figure out a way to come out of the half, regroup, and be able to take over and take control. They outscored Miami 40-20 in that third quarter. Just a great performance from the Magic to get the win against the Heat. Mo Wagner, Anthony Black, even Tyus Jones. 9 assists for Tyus Jones in that Miami game. That speaks volumes, I think, for this team because, yes, you're not seeing so much production from him when it comes to connecting with shots, but you're seeing a lot of good things from him when it comes to facilitating. As you can see right there, the Magic get the win, 133-124. They could get a little bit better on the glass. We know this, but one thing that I think also sharing the ball right there, 36-27 in assists. The Magic outscoring them in that area. Field goal percentage pretty much the same. This was a good team that they played, a good Miami Heat team with Norman Powell, also who leads the Heat in scoring. Just a good opportunity for this Magic squad to bounce back ahead of today's game. So I want to get to your comments. Let me know how you're feeling today. What are you looking forward to the most in tonight's game against the Toronto Raptors? All right, let's get to some comments. A lot of hi. Oh, Lewis, yes. Okay. I want to say shout out to Lewis. I got to meet you guys. It's exciting to meet you guys who watch Courtside Countdown, and it's exciting to meet you outside of this. So, yes, I'm super pumped that I got to take a picture with you. I'm glad that I was able to see you in Miami cheering on the Magic. More Magic fans need to come to away games if possible. So that was really neat. Really happy I got to meet you guys. And okay, first off, what I'm going to say, I'm going to go ahead and say we're not going to have any slander on the players. Orlando Robinson is actually a two-way guy too, and he's done a phenomenal job in helping the Magic out when he is needed. You got to remember, with two-ways, they can't play too many games because they also have to help out the G League. And two, they're there so that way when their number is called and they're there for the opportunity, they take advantage of that opportunity. And Orlando Robinson, he did that in Boston, as you can remember, coming in when Wendell Carter Jr. was out and a couple other guys couldn't play, and he was able to dominate and help that Magic squad. So if you're going to come with any of these corrections of what you want to see, please come with the facts and the notes and the stats, because Orlando's been doing some good things for the Magic when he's been available. And then what else we got? Our J Curve, are we doing Prince Paolo? Is that a nickname that we're giving? Yeah, Paolo showed up for sure. I get it. Okay, I get it. Once he gets a ring, you'll crown him as a king. I like that. Okay. We'll go with that. Some people say they liked the winning. Yes, we loved the winning. Hello to all of you guys joining us on the chat. Let's see what else I got going on over here. Okay, let's talk about. Anthony Black. Hey, I gotta make sure that if we're gonna talk about our Magic guys, that the ones who are spammers, they at least come with the stats, guys. I got to. Desmond Bane, he also had a good performance. How about Desmond Bane? Let's talk about the fact that when he went up for the block, that he fell down, hurt himself, shook it off, and then came down and knocked down a 3. Desmond, easy does it. I mean, just the way he's been able to be able to help this Magic team out as much as he can from anywhere. Of course, we want to see more shots from the three, but his ability to find those creative ways to score and help the team. 23 points in that game against Miami, 2 steals, 5 assists, shooting 62%, a little more than 62% from the field in that game. Everyone had just such a great performance against the Miami Heat, a team that has done so well so far. And when I say so well, they've been able to show up in games necessary for them. I know that they're also struggling. As you can see in the East standings, it's literally between the Magic and the Heat, But they're also a team that you don't want to get caught on a bad day. They won last night because they were played on a back-to-back. They beat Chicago. So it's still a really good Miami Heat team. All right, let's get to talking about Anthony Black and what he's been able to do for the Orlando Magic as of late. Because one thing about Anthony Black, he kind of had a little bit of a, I don't want to call it dry moment, but he was kind of fading a little bit. And I think this was a great comeback spark game for Anthony Black. Was able to catch his own rebound and go in for the dunk. Coach Mosley actually talked about that and said, I think it's so interesting. Of course, the Berlin dunk is going crazy, but that dunk right there where he was able to catch his own rebound and dunk was the moment that that Coach Mosley was like, that was phenomenal for him. 26 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. AB net went 4 of 7 from the 3, 13 at the half, finished with 26. He's just continued to show consistency as a starter, which is big. And I think that that's also going to be an opportunity for him that when everyone gets healthy again, he can be able to help the bench and bring that spark coming off the bench. So that's going to be really big. The way he is performing, the way he is connecting with this Magic squad so far, I think that we're going to see a lot. But we're going to talk about this upcoming game. Let's get to some shoot-around sound and see how the players were feeling.
Your group won the turnover battle in Miami and was able to generate a lot of offense off of it. How important was it in this game or last game, and how important will it be tonight against this team that also thrives in that area?
Yeah, I think for what we did against Miami, it was very important to take care of the basketball, show what we're capable of doing. But it was a great test for us and, a great situation for us to be in that game, to go against a team similar in Toronto who plays exactly the same way. They try to turn you over. They do a great job with active hands. They mix up the defenses. So you've got to be aware. You've got to be alert of everything that they're doing and be smart and play together the right way.
Yeah, I feel like that's the main thing that fuels our offense. Heating guys up, pressure in full court. Getting after it defensively, and then running on the other end and just playing off of that. So as long as we create a good shot on offense, I feel like that's also going to help our defense.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a dogfight. It was up there in Toronto. We kind of felt like we let one get away from us. And we know, it's no trickery with them. It's whoever's going to play harder is probably going to come out and win the game. So we got the right mentality from the start.
We welcome you back to Courtside Countdown, presented by Hard Rock Bet, here with Savage Says as he joins us. And we're going to talk about the Toronto game, but first I want to recap Miami and get to some of your comments. So people were saying that they love what Anthony Black was able to do and that the Magic win when he plays aggressive. And I think that says a lot because what is the word you would say? I didn't want to say he had a dry spell coming. The confidence wasn't there in the most recent games, and I feel like Miami, you showed that.
Yeah, I would say with AB, it's been like the lack of consistency in his game over the course of a game. It's not, any game in its entirety, but it's that full 48 minutes, much like much of the team has suffered with over the course of that 4-game stretch. And I thought AB came out with a very intent purpose, so active with his hands, getting in passing lanes. And when he's doing that, when he's using his defense to fuel his offense, I think that's contagious. He's one of those guys, him, Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Isaac, that when they're doing that, it really spreads to the rest of the team.
Completely agree. One of the comments that I got also was that Paolo has been going off recently. Let's talk about his game in Miami. 9 points going into the half. Finished it with 22 points coming into the second half. He said it himself. He was like, yeah, I had to shake that off. I didn't realize that I was just kind of out here and had to wake up a little bit. Paolo woke up in that second half.
Yeah, I thought he was very candid in his post-game conversation with you and with the media in Miami, where just being honest about everything that's been going on, ups and downs, struggles, and just giving solutions for those problems, taking ownership. And, you know, what he's really shown me over this stretch is he's doing anything and everything to find ways to win. And I thought, even in those Cleveland games, the second half of the game here at Kia Center, the entire game up in Cleveland, and in that stretch in Miami, he's put together some great basketball.
Yeah,
and I thought his aggressiveness, his assertiveness, his finding ways to get to the basket early in possessions has been superb. And if the Magic get that kind of Paolo Banchero for the rest of the season, we're going to be in good shape.
No doubt about it. And we haven't even gotten to playoff P, because we know playoff P is a whole different level. And you're so right. The way he plays against Cleveland, too, as well. One thing that we talked about in the pregame show is that his 9 games in his career in Cleveland, he's been able to have 20-plus. He's averaging at least more than 27 when he had those 9 games. Averaging now more than 28 points per game when he plays in Cleveland in the last 10 games. It's something about that court. I don't know what it is, but it's also something about what Paolo's been able to do. I love what you said about how he handled things with my interview and with the media. This is the maturity. This is the level that you want to see Paolo when it comes to someone as a leader on this team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think one of the things that's helped unlock this different level of P has been the guys around him.
Yeah.
One, Anthony Black's playing extremely well. Desmond Bane has put together some good stretches. And then Jalen Suggs is back in the lineup.
Yeah.
So it becomes harder to defend Paolo when you have other talented players around him. I think what we saw in stretches when they were out Jalen, when they were out some of these other guys, in addition to Franz, his team game plan was simple. The second Paolo puts the ball on the floor, we send the double, and we top lock Desmond Bane and run him off the three-point line. Well, when you have other guys like Jalen Suggs who are willing to let it fly, when Wendell Carter's playing aggressive, when AB is aggressive, it becomes harder to do those things, and it'll become even more difficult when Franz Wagner eventually returns to the lineup.
1,000%. You're looking at those stats right there, and you're joining us on Courtside Countdown, presented by Hard Rock Bet, as the Magic will get ready for tonight's game, taking on the Toronto Raptors. And then you can catch Dante and the crew on Magic Live, the pregame show, to get you ready for tonight's game as well. So let's talk about this Toronto group. Now, we know what they've been able – they're a sneaky team so far this season. They've been able to get hot kind of early or later in the season. I forget where we are in the season, to be honest. They were able to get hot. They've made it to number 4 in standings, even with a loss against the Knicks. What has stood out to you about this Toronto team?
Yeah, if you look at some of the numbers here, the Magic more impressive in points, right around the same shooting percentage.
Yes.
Magic out-rebound them. The points off turnovers, to me, is going to be the deciding factor of tonight. Which team turns it over more and which team capitalizes on those turnovers more will be the deciding factor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because when you look at this Raptors team, 4th in the NBA in deflections, among the best in fast break points, among the best in points off turnovers, they play similar fashion to the Magic, where they like to let their defense, handiness, fuel their offense. So as Desmond Bane said to me pregame, it was whoever the more physical team is, whoever plays harder tonight is going to come away with the win.
Yeah.
There's no trickery with this group. It's going to be simple. Whoever plays harder is going to get the win. And so I think that's going to be a deciding factor. Who takes care of the basketball? Who lets their defense fuel their offense?
And I think, before I talk about a certain player, I want to get to some comments. And then Paolo finally seems comfortable just being Paolo, and that's scary for the NBA. Completely agree with you, J. Curve. Bucks Nation, I'm assuming that means Bucks Nation, says, got to start stacking wins. No more of this one win, one loss back and forth. Completely agree with you. I think we all agree on that one.
And I talked to Buck last game, and, he was saying everybody's a little down in the comments.
Yeah.
As I said, when you come away with a win in Miami, the comments will start getting better. Everybody will be in a better mood. And I think we kind of washed that off into Miami and the South Beach, left it there. Now positive Magic vibes only.
Yes.
As we're back here at Kia Center.
I love that. One comment that was interesting, and this is from Sharp. He goes, Paolo, stay aggressive, even if you have to sacrifice your defense. And if they need D, play J.I. more. I don't know what Coach Mosley is going to do in his lineup, but what I will say is I thoroughly enjoyed the way Jonathan Isaac played in Miami, the way he was sacrificing himself and how aggressive he was on the glass in that game.
Look, if J.I. plays like that, with that level of intensity and aggressiveness every night, he will consistently be in the rotation. There's no doubt about it. And kudos to J.I. for, even though that he's been in and out, remaining ready, knowing the game plan so well, because you can't be active like that unless you know what's being called for against a well-organized team like Miami. He picked and chose his spots perfectly.
Yes.
That's the type of J.I. defense that earned him the name Minister of Defense, because he created nightmares for Miami. I really thought he flipped that game in the Magic's favor.
Yeah, comment saying J.I. turned back the clock last game. All right, remembering old J.I. over here. Question, will Franz be playing? Franz will not be playing in tonight's game, continuing to manage him. I thought it was very interesting and honest for both Coach Mosley and Franz to kind of discuss a little bit more about, the Berlin trip, and maybe he wasn't ready for that yet, but he did play. Still, everyone I think agreed. We don't care. We wanted to see Franz Wagner go out there and have all 3 German guys play in Berlin.
Look, to have an NBA game in your venue you grew up playing in, when there's never been an NBA game in Germany, period,
yes,
is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So nobody can blame Franz for doing everything in his power to get on the court.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think people have to remember, he's never dealt with a high ankle sprain.
Yes.
So these things can linger, and I think what caught him off guard was he was feeling good and feeling good enough to play, and then it just started to linger on him after the London game. So I think that, even more so than the fact that he played, is just kind of that mental mindset of how to know to come back from an ankle sprain like that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. One thing I want to talk to you about is Scotty Barnes and the way he's been able to play so far this season for Toronto. He recorded his 22nd double-double Wednesday night, and he's just recorded a double-double against the Magic in 2 straight games and 3 of his last 4 games. What does Scotty bring to the table for this Toronto group?
Yeah, Scotty Barnes plays much like a Magic player in a lot of ways, where he allows his defense to fuel his offense, and he is a Swiss Army knife for Toronto on defense. You could see him on some possessions guarding a point guard. He was out on Jalen Brunson the other night when they were playing the Knicks.
Yeah.
And then, in turn, going out and guarding a 5. And so I'm sure, they'll deploy him a number of times on Paolo tonight, but we'll probably look for possessions where they throw him on the Magic's point guards to try to disrupt their primary playmakers and cause havoc on the defensive end. So his versatility really stands out to me, and he has continued to develop his offensive game as the seasons have gone on.
He sure has. You can see his numbers right there, averaging 19.4 points per game, 8 rebounds, a little bit more than 5 assists. And he's a guy that, he's finding his groove too. I think that this is a team that ultimately needed a leader, and you got him, you get Brandon Ingram, and those 2 guys I feel like have really helped this Toronto team be what they thought they could be too.
Yeah, they have 3 guys averaging over 18 points per game in Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett, and Brandon Ingram. And then that's not even to mention the 4th member of the crew, Emmanuel Quickley, who's the reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week, where he averaged over 25 during the week and shot over 61% from the field. So they've got a number of guys who could kill you on the offensive end. So you really have to be aware and locked into the game plan, shrink the floor against this team.
You sure do. Okay, getting some of the comments. I see Joanne says, we got to show some love to our guys. Need another good Tyus game. 9 assists. That I think goes unnoticed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think we have to take note of that. The way that Tyus does bring that level of maturity on the court and the way he's able to facilitate. We saw that they out-rebounded Miami, and that was because of Tyus.
Yeah, you look with Tyus Jones. I think he's such an effective play setter in getting things in motion.
Yeah.
And I think his style of game is amplified with the better players he plays on the court. And so as you bring guys back into the rotation and other guys fall down in the rotation, he's playing with guys who are a little bit more experienced.
Yeah.
Sharing the court with Palomar, getting to share the court with Jalen Suggs at times, et cetera. It helps elevate his game because he'll find guys in their spots and when he knows where they are. And so as the season's gone along, he's done that. And then it's up to the Magic players to knock him down, which is something that helps assist totals because trust me, with some of the games that were going on against Cleveland and Charlotte before that, the Magic just knocked down their shots. The assist totals would be a lot higher because there were a lot of good open looks in those ones. So against Miami, Tyus continued to set the table, Magic knocks shots down, good things happen.
It sure does. I completely agree with you. All right, let's get to your storylines for tonight's game. Dan, this is going to be a good game for this Magic squad. They were looking to continue to keep it going. So what do you got for us? What's on your storylines?
Yeah, so normally I, set my storylines up and I email them over to, Maria. But she's out today, so we got producer Jason Dewberry, who wrote these down on a Post-it note for me, so shout out to him. But number one, win the turnover battle. We talked about how both these teams like to get out in the fast break and run.
Yeah.
You win the turnover battle tonight against them, you'll be in a good spot. 2, shrink the floor. And what I mean by that is really collapsing the lane ahead of time so that, the Toronto players on the perimeter see bodies. They can't get their kick, spray out threes, and guys in the spots they want. So showing defensive help early helps navigate some of that. And then lastly, using the defense to fuel the offense. And they did that to a T against Miami. Jonathan Isaac, Anthony Black, Paolo Banchero with the steal and slam. All those guys used the defense to set up the offense. Got to make that a trend. And so it's a little repetitive with storyline number one, but I'm so heavily emphasizing it, I'm forcing it into reality.
I love it. I love it. Manifesting.
Yeah.
That is a thing. We're going to manifest that everything you talked about today.
Let's play that brand of basketball.
Let's play the Magic brand of basketball. I think that's literally the thing they have to do. One of the comments said, Tristan is confident again, and it's showing. Tristan turned up last game. He did. That was one thing I've been wanting to see, too, is just how does Tristan overcome certain things? And, Coach Mosley and everyone will tell you got to continue just believing your shot. It's hard, though. JT, I remember I asked him, I said, look, you were a player. How hard is it when you don't see the shots going in to just keep going?
Yeah, I think what we saw from Tristan early in the season is he knows how to play well when things are going well.
Yeah.
He built a hot streak, knocked it down, was just in motion, and then he had a few games where he struggled and he let it linger. But you got to remember, even though he carries himself like such a veteran presence, only his second year in the league.
That's
and I think this is
true.
one of the things he's learning, how to break out of a shooting slump. I think we saw in Miami what he did was, regardless of make or miss, stayed aggressive. And that's what the Magic are asking for him. You take the shots when you're open. You be aggressive when they're not, and good things will happen, and that's what happened for Tristan against the Heat.
Yeah, you just saw Tristan's numbers right there. Before we get out of here, let's take a look at the schedule ahead and where this Magic team's going to go next. So we're only here for one, and then we are getting on the road because this is going to be a little bit of a gauntlet right here.
Yeah.
Taking on San Antonio and at OKC. Those two teams, the way that they battle it out has been so fun to watch so far this season. But it would be really good to see the Magic get a win against both these squads, which is very possible and I think reasonable to happen.
Yeah, the one thing I'm interested in seeing, I don't know if it'll happen, but if Jonathan Isaac keeps playing as well as he's been playing, having him to unload off the bench to go against Wemby, to go against Chet, he's got the body type that he could create problems for both those guys. We've seen him have posterizing blocks on Wemby. And I know Victor, the type of player he is, having talked to people over there in San Antonio, he remembers that. So I want to see that kind of competitive battle between those two.
What I loved about the first time that this Magic team played against Victor Wembanyama, J.I. was very much like, I got this. I got this. I can do this. And he did just that. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. Well, that'll do it for us on Courtside Countdown presented by Hard Rock Bet. Kendra Douglas, Savage Says. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you guys when we return back for the Brooklyn game. But for now, make sure you lock into FanDuel Sports Network to check out Dante and the crew as they get you ready for tonight's game against Toronto. You can catch that on FanDuel Sports, your home for the Orlando Magic. So thank you guys for joining us tonight, and we will see you guys later.
What's the deal? Run the city just for fun, cause you know I keep it real.